welcome back to the Diversity Project, where today we are speaking all about serving our senior communities. There's nothing more important than making sure that the people that are aging and aging in place or looking to stay on Long Island have opportunities and they know what their options are. You know, really, with Long Island being as expensive as it is, really having an understanding and creating a plan and a pathway is really what's most important. You know, at the Diversity Project, we're always looking to educate people and bring, solid resources to our audience. And today's episode is no different. So again, speaking about seniors and opportunities that present themselves to our senior community. In studio today, we have Julie Wexler. She is the Director of Business Development for the Bristal Assisted Living. So welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
So, we're talking all about our senior communities. And I will firsthand say that over the last maybe 10 years, there has been a tremendous growth in facilities like yours really popping up all over Long Island. So why don't you explain a little bit about the Bristal and the value that the Bristal has for our aging seniors on Long Island?
I would be delighted to do that for you. So the Bristal Assisted Living is a 20-year-old company. We certainly have had a tremendous amount of growth in the last 10 years. So what you're seeing, what seems like we're us popping up on every corner, it has happened, and not just the Bristal, but other companies that provide similar services here on Long Island. We have to remember that the 65 and over demographic, and particularly the 85 and over demographic, is the fastest growing segment of our population in Nassau and Suffolk County. So, communities like ours didn't exist 20 years ago. And our developers in particular really saw the need for Long Islanders in particular. The assisted living communities that had been built before were in many cases converted hotels. And it really wasn't meeting the taste level, if you will, of what Long Islanders were looking for. Sure. And also we wanted Long Islanders to be able to stay here on Long Island. The homes that were purchased decades ago, back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, really weren't conducive for older adults to be able to age safely in them, right? We have stairs, leading up to the front door. We have laundry in the basement. We have no sidewalks, things in our neighborhoods that really didn't lead to older adults having a full life. And so assisted living really kind of recreates community for our older adults on Long Island. And the Bristal in particular has really positions itself as sort of being the luxury, premier luxury senior living option on Long Island.
They're beautiful. Mm-hmm. Yep. I drive past them and they are absolutely beautiful, designed well. So if somebody's looking to choose this as an option, what is their first step?
So their first step is really just calling us. I think very often what happens is because our communities didn't exist 20 years ago, especially for the older adults that we're serving and our average age being in the upper 80s, their mind, as soon as they hear assisted living, goes, straight to that clinical, hospital, nursing home type setting. You're thinking about, when you hear assisted living, your mind might go to, the old ladies sitting around in wheelchairs with, knitted blankets on their legs. And that's not what you see when you walk into a Bristal community. They're vibrant places. As I was saying before, people are living longer, and these are really opportunities for people to be around other people, to still enjoy fine dining, to still have activities to participate in, to still explore things that, I'll give you an example. I moved in a resident one time, and he was an older gentleman in his mid-80s, and he had never painted before, right? Nobody probably ever gave him the opportunity to do that, right? He was a businessman, and he was a manly man, and manly men don't paint, right? Well, you know what? When he came to the Bristal, he had the time, he had the supplies, he had the opportunity, and he had somebody who was encouraging him to do it and just gave him a little bit of direction. And here he was in his upper 80s discovering this hidden talent that he had. And that's just one story of so many hundreds of things that we see when people move to the Bristal and how they really do live their fullest life once they come and move to our communities.
And I think what happens is that a lot of people, when they hear about assisted living, they confuse those with rehabilitation centers.
Right.
And they're very different living environments. So I don't want to talk about finance, because the finance part of, any kind of assisted living sometimes is enough to scare somebody. But does a facility like Bristal accept any type of insurance? Is there some sort of a planning that if, somebody is listening and they're thinking about their parents, for example, and they say, what can we do today to prepare for the fact that our parents are aging? And we would love for them to then take advantage of that opportunity.
Yeah, I love that question because you said the word planning in there. And it really does take planning. People are living longer. And with that, very often, I'm seeing it now with my own family that, both my parents live in houses with stairs. And I worry about that every single day. And we're really starting now to have those conversations about what the next step is going to be. And the housing situation is just one piece of the puzzle. It takes planning with an elder law attorney. It might be a conversation with a geriatric care manager. It's really kind of bringing in a team of people that are going to help you make those really tough decisions. So how do people pay for the cost of assisted living? Generally, assisted living, we're not providing a medical service. So it's not going to be covered by what we think of as traditional health insurance, right? Your Medicare is basically health insurance. You have an illness,
sure,
you might fracture a hip or have pneumonia and land in the hospital. And so that Medicare is going to be there to help you get better, right? And it might cover that short-term rehab like you were mentioning before. But it's not going to cover what's called your long-term care needs. And what we're really providing at the Bristal are basically amenities. You're renting an apartment. You have a beautiful apartment and we're providing meals for you. We're providing recreational activities for you. You have that support. We have nurses and aides in our building and recreation team and the chef and all those other people that support you, but we're not providing a medical service. So Medicare does not cover the cost of assisted living. So how do people pay to live in communities like ours? Generally, it's private pay. And on Long Island, our parents were fortunate enough to purchase their homes many decades ago. So the profits that they're making from the sale of the house is typically how people pay to live at the Bristal, or savings, income, pensions, things like that, to pay their monthly rent, if you will. If you were fortunate enough to have purchased long-term care insurance years ago, and the policies that we see, the residents that are coming in and they purchase their policies, sometimes 25 years ago, they're very generous. And so most policies will cover the cost of assisted living. Not all, but we'd have to take a look at the policy. So you got private pay, you have long-term care insurance, and then there is a benefit through the Veterans Administration. So if you are a veteran or the surviving spouse of a veteran or a couple together, you may be entitled to a small stipend, if you will, that helps you pay for the cost of living in our communities. And then there are a few assisted living communities. We actually even have our community in Lynbrook that does accept Medicaid. They're not they're limited, and unfortunately they're very limited if you need memory care, but there are options out there for folks who are on Medicaid as well.
Now, tell me just last question, because we are running out of time. Is there a waiting list? I feel like there's a lot more seniors than there are housing opportunities.
Well, I can tell you that I've been working for the Bristal for a number of years, and going back 8 years, we did have a very, very strong waiting lists. But yeah, the industry is growing. There are a lot more options out there for people. So it really depends on from building to building. So I would just suggest that you call, make that phone call. It's really not that scary. We're really friendly people. We really want to get to know you, what your needs are, what your wants are, and what how we can help serve your family.
Excellent. So I'm going to tell you what I tell the other guests. All of your contact information will be available directly on our website, which is www.thediversityprojectli.com. So if you're driving or you're home today and you say, oh my God, amazing, would love information about the Bristal, don't worry. You can go directly to our website and you can get a direct link so that you can reach out to Julie or anybody else associated and affiliated with the Bristal communities. Stay tuned for our next guest.